All right, friends, for this video, you're going to need your math notebook. You're going to need a yellow highlighter. Even if you have other colors, make sure it's a yellow one. If you need one, get one from the back of the class. You're going to need a pencil and then the chart that I gave you on Friday. So go get that real quick. All right, so I want you to go ahead and set your highlighter and your chart off to the side. What I want you to do right now is I want you to open up your notebook to the next clean sheets, which should be 106 and 107. We're going to title 107 customary length, and then 106 is going to be customary length chart. So go ahead and pause and make sure you have both of those written down. All right, we're going to start with 107 with customary length. Now, when we are doing our measurement unit, we're going to be talking about customary units of measure and metric units of measure. So if you got a chance to look at our chart, it has a customary side and a metric side. For this first week, we're going to be focusing on just the customary side. So I'm going to make a quick note about what customary is and then what length is, and then have you copy it down. All right, so customary is the measurement system used in the U.S. or the United States. That's what type of measurement system we use here in the United States is customary. So go ahead and pause and copy that down. All right, so the first unit of measure in our customary we're going to talk about is length. And we use length to measure the distance from one end to the other end. So maybe one end of the desk to the other end of the desk. One end of your arm to the other end of your arm. So go ahead and write that down, and then we're going to talk about the units that fall under length. All right, the first unit for length that we're going to talk about is inch. And the abbreviation for inch is IN, and we've kind of talked about that one a little bit in class already. And when you have more than one, then it is inches. All right, our next one is going to be foot, which the abbreviation for that is FT. And if we have more than one, then it becomes feet. Then we're also going to be talking about yard, which if we have more than one, it becomes yards, plural. And the abbreviation is YD. And then the last one we're going to be talking about is mile. When we have more than one, we have miles. And the abbreviation for miles is MI. So pause and make sure you have all of this written down. Now on Tuesday, we are going to be doing something called conversions. That's where we're converting different units to other units. But what I want to do now is I want to put a couple notes on this page for when we do the conversions, but it's things that you already know. Like something that you already know is that 1 foot equals 12 inches. And you know that because we've talked about how the whole ruler is 12 inches, and that's also 1 foot. And you've also hopefully talked about it in previous grades. Something else that we've kind of talked about is 1 yard equals 3 feet, because when we had the yardstick, we were able to put 3 rulers up next to it. So that'd be 3 feet or 36 inches, because 12 plus 12 plus 12 would be 36. One other that you might know is 1 mile. You might know this from PE, and sometimes they say it in movies and stuff, is 5,280 feet. Or it's also 1,760 yards. So some of those you may already be familiar with and some you might not, but we're going to be using them. So I want you to make sure you have that written down. Pause this video, and then I want you to get your chart and highlighter real quick. All right, because today we're talking about customary length, I'm going to come up here to the length section, like this whole section is length, but we're doing customary today. And what I want to do is I want to highlight in yellow my customary helpful hints or helpful tools that I'm going to be using. But that way I can just focus on just the customary length, since that's what we're going to be using for the next couple days. So 1 mile is 1,760 yards. 1 yard equals 3 feet, and 1 foot equals 12 inches. I know it's what we just put here, but this and this we're going to get to use multiple times. So go ahead and highlight that real quick and then get your page 106 and pencil. All right, for page 106, we're going to turn the page sideways, and what we're going to do is we're going to put our units from over here in order from the shorter unit to the longer unit. And I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to draw an arrow because we're going from shorter to longer. So do that and I'll show you what I mean. So if I were to put these in order of smaller units to larger units or shorter to longer, it would be inch, foot, yard, and then mile. Because things that are shorter, I'm going to use inches to measure. Then things that are longer, I might use feet. Even longer than that, I might use yards. And then really long, I'm going to use miles. Like if I go a long distance on a trip, I'm going to measure in miles. But if I'm just measuring my pencil, I might measure in inches. So go ahead and copy that down, and we're going to write some examples. All right, so some things that I would use inches to measure might be a little inchworm or my knuckle, because from here to here is about an inch. So if I kind of bend my finger a little from this knuckle to this knuckle is about an inch, or a small paper clip, and it's about the same. So it's all about an inch. So if I was using inches, these are some examples. For feet, or if I'm measuring a foot, I could use my forearm or my notebook. What I mean by forearm is like from my wrist to my elbow. This is about a foot. And then by notebook, like about this of my notebook. So if I put my notebook up to my forearm, they're both about a foot. So go ahead and pause and write that down. For yard, something similar would be a baseball bat. So if you play baseball or you've ever seen baseball, the length of a baseball bat would be about a yard. We also have yardsticks that we use in class. Not meter sticks, but yardsticks. All right, and then for miles, that would be about 4 times around a track or long distances. And when I say track, I mean like the track at like the junior high and the high school. You have to go around it 4 times. You have to circle around it 4 times before you get to the mile. So that's why we use miles to measure our longer or long distances. Make sure you have all that copied down. All right, so based off of what we just talked about, I want you to go to the bottom of 107 and I want you to copy this question down. Why is it not reasonable to measure a pencil in feet, yards, or miles? Think about what we did over here and what we set up here. Why is it not reasonable? It doesn't make sense to measure my pencil using feet, yards, or miles. Copy that down and answer it, and then when you're done, you are good to go. Just make sure you bring your notebook and your paper back to class, ready to go for our lesson on Monday. Thanks, guys, and have a good week.